So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to reveal a lot of the secrets that allowed us to be able to really work with it all, right? Like, what does that really look like? If this is your first time tuning in, or maybe, first time you kind of joining me live. So, so what I do is I'm a father. I have a spouse, my wife, and and I'm running a business. I work a lot with entrepreneurs, business owners, specifically with coaches and speakers. And what I help you do is go from a coach or a speaker that's starting from scratch. And my goal is to help you make six figures in this business. Help you figure out everything you need to make, right? Everything you need to do. So that's what I'm excited about. And that's what I help a lot of people do. And I've been doing that. I've been working with entrepreneurs for the last decade. The last 5 years I've been in coaching and speaking. It's fun. I enjoy this. This is fun to me. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to reveal a lot of the secrets that allowed us to be able to really work with it all, right? Like, what does that really look like? Just being a parent alone is a lot, and then, you got to be a spouse is a lot. And then trying to run your business and make that successful is a lot. So what would you say to somebody right now? There's people who they're trying to figure it out and manage it all. Like, what advice would you give to somebody, who is a parent, or maybe who is married, or if you have both, you got the double trifecta. But what are like some suggestions that you would give some people who are trying to be successful as an entrepreneur and with those circumstances?
So the first thing that I would tell them is to know all the balls that you're trying to juggle in the air, right? And so we need to first figure out, what does that look like? So, you got multiple businesses? Should you be in multiple businesses right now, right? How many balls do you have juggling in the air for businesses? And then when it comes to your kids, how do you want to be involved? What does that look like? And then when it comes to your spouse, how much time do you need to be spending with them, right? And I can go deeper into each of them. But I think the first thing you need to know is what you have going on, like the responsibilities that you kind of have on your plate. And so you'll know how to show up in those different areas. So the first thing is, what do you have going on, right? Like, let us in, what do you have going on? And for me, I tell my clients, jot it down on a piece of paper, like literally old school, right? Put it in your notes in your iPhone or whatever that looks like.
Is this for a day?
What you have going on?
Is this for a day?
Not for a day, just period. In your life, in this season of your life, typically I teach quarters by quarter.
Yeah.
So in this quarter of your life, what do you have going on? You got to show up for your wife or husband. You got to show up for however many kids. But they may all need you differently if you have multiple kids, right? So what does that look like? And then for business, how are you showing up, or what do you need to do in this particular quarter? So let's take it by quarter of the year.
Okay, so take down. So you'll say, okay, what do I have by quarter? So that means that, hey, that these are activities. So is it like, okay, so I'm running my business. I gotta go grocery shopping. I gotta take my kids to school. Is it like those kind of activities that you put down?
Yes. For example, I got an oldest. She's a cheerleader, right?
Yeah.
My quarter of the first year may look different than in summer, right? And so knowing what responsibilities you currently have on your plate will allow you to do some adjustments and allow you to. My second biggest thing, we ain't get there yet, that S word that everybody's scared of, is allow you to schedule. So scheduling is a really, really, really big factor when it comes to trying to juggle all the balls in the air.
I love that. And what's crazy too is that, one of the things that is like, especially for those who have kids, do not underestimate how hard it really could be when you're trying to focus. There's been many times, and this is why I say this is good, why you're saying you got to know what you're doing and then know how to schedule it. Because there's been many times that I've been working, or it's been like 2 minutes before a consultation call that I'm getting ready to jump on. And then my son is in the other room. And then for whatever reason, he just starts crying. And it's like, oh, now I got to go over there and get him. I hold him. There's been many calls where I've been rocking my son, and people could attest to this, right? Some of my clients know before they came into my coaching program, they was like, yo, coach had his son in his arms while we were talking, right? And, and it's when you're able to schedule it the best way you can and understand, like, okay, this is going to be a responsibility. Like, anticipation is a big word. If y'all taking notes right now, write down anticipation. When you're able to anticipate certain things, and everything you can't anticipate, but when you're able to anticipate certain things that could happen, like, okay, boom, I know, say if you got kids, you might say, okay, I know that, he's asleep right now. or she sleeps. So this might be a good time to, to be able to, to knock some phone calls out, right? Or I know my spouse or my significant other is, I know this is the time that we bond during the day or at night. So maybe you don't, at the end of the night, you don't let work run too long, right? Because you got to still spend that bonding time with your significant other. So, and I love what Jay said. He said life's balance in that. And Forever Queen, thank you. I appreciate you putting in anticipation. By the way, yes, write this in the chat so other people can see it who are just jumping in. But that's key in terms of trying to do that scheduling. So I love it. So what does that look like for you in terms of like how do you kind of balance and schedule it?
So I am the queen of systems and strategies. So I'm balancing everything. But one of the things I wanted to go back to really quick, why it's super important for you to write down, like, taking a quarter at a time, like, what do I have in this area of my life, this season of my life, this time of my life, right? Because sometimes we have things on our plate that we need to get rid of. So you've been volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club. You've been showing up for the kids' PTA meeting. You've been having this particular client that been giving you a hard time for a really long time, right? Or you've been showing up in this space in business, or you've been holding on to family members or friends, whatever that looks like. And that's not a priority right now in this moment. So you may need to take that off of the table, take it off of, your responsibility, your plate. It may need to be a ball that doesn't need to stay in the air any longer. So that's one of the things that I wanted to go back to and make sure we mentioned that. The other thing in regards to your second question, like what am I doing? So I literally have a planner. I have a planner specifically for my business. Then I have a household calendar that everyone gets to see. Everything goes on there, practices, whoever got to work, when I have calls, because I have a home-based business. So I'm running my business from home. And so all of that literally goes on the calendar so that everyone in the house is on one accord, right?
Love that.
And then, yes, and then I have in my phone, like literally I don't know where I would be without like my phone calendar and my alarms. So it's telling me like, okay, Tramika, it's time for you to cut business off. Okay, Tramika, time to go take a lunch break. Okay, Tramika, it's time to show up for the parent-teacher conference or whatever that looks like. So all of that is in my phone as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you live off your calendar. You sound like me. Like I love that. And one of the things that I want you to catch that she said it quick, but it's the same thing that I'm doing is that she has a calendar, and let me know if I heard this right, but you have a calendar that your spouse has or that the whole house has so they know what you got coming up. I love that. That's the same thing that I have with my wife, right? To where she knows what's on my calendar. So like she knows like consultation calls that I'm getting that I have. She knows like what I'm working on at any given time. She knows like, if I'm going somewhere or if I'm traveling or if I'm taking a break. And I noticed that we would butt heads more when I would just go do things and she didn't really know either